So here we are again with the Center for Earth Education and Learning and the speaker series live. And today I have the pleasure again to speak with Peter Maxwell Slattery. Peter, welcome.
Henning, it's good to connect again, mate. Thanks for doing this. It's great to connect.
Wow, and thank you again. And maybe we do that again or on a regular basis. But to give the background to everyone who's listening in and comes across this. So with this Center for Earth Education and Learning, we wanted to focus on galactic education and various aspects. And that is to learn about us, other species and planets around us. So this time, with these three questions, as we do it for now, we wanted to focus, I would say, on cooperation aspects. And if we can get right into it, Peter, the first question is, what are means to seek comprehension or understanding and cooperation, for example, ambassadors?
So with this, would you be able to frame it in a sort of sentence? Because I hear what you're saying, but there's different ways that could be taken. So are you saying in terms of ourselves, what can we do on our part to, I guess, comprehend and also experience and I guess maybe step up as ambassadors to interfacing and having a dialogue with our extraterrestrial brothers and sisters? Would that be
I thought personally, so to say, can we be ambassadors? But originally, I thought from a perspective of humanity. If we, as you do, as I saw it on James Gilliland's meaning from SAT, that there is done ambassador trainings. So yeah, we could personally be ambassadors or humanity. If we try to seek comprehension, seek understanding, or seek cooperation, maybe ambassadors is the way to go.
Yeah, no, that's great, because the way that I apply a lot of the teachings and methodologies, and I guess we could say breaking it down in terms of contact, multi-dimensional contact with extraterrestrials, contacts with spirit and other forms of intelligences. It is two-part, which is an individual thing, and also it's a collective thing. So you've got your own individual contact, but also us as a collective, which is what CE5 and initiating contact that I do here at Jaya Sanctuary is about, doing it in a group setting, as well as still getting your own individual contact. My perspective with this is that we are all ambassadors ourselves of ourselves. We may be representing the human race in that at the same time. Depending on how other civilizations operate and where they're at, there is different ways that they interface galactically, and sometimes you could say intergalactically, going outside of the galaxy, as well as transdimensionally. And in some cases, this is done through what I've experienced as councils. Now, these are usually individuals that have been picked by the collective to represent the collective. In a different way, we could say, yeah, it's like we pick representatives here for local government, federal government, and what have you, but it's done in a way that's, let's say, depending on where the civilization is at, in ways that it's more heart-based. And when you're dealing in ways like that, on an extragalactic level, there's a lot of less crap, we could say, because the politics the way we've got at the moment, we don't want it to be like that, though there is a bit of galactic politics that does go on. So my point with this is that as we step into the stage publicly, I know that what I'm describing here in a way is going on already. And this is done through, we could say, means with the cabal, even with some of the white hats, what have you. But for the most part, once this is done on a public forum, we could say in a public way, as we do go galactic and step up, and this is old news, meaning extraterrestrials and having brothers and sisters out there, it's going to take and shape its own way, that there is protocols, from my understanding, in place on how the public's going to deal with this, work with this, and then interface with this down the track as well. There's nothing, let's say, with the protocols that's concrete, because how it unravels is going to be anyone's guess. Even the ETs aren't sure, but there's a lot of stuff already happening. It's just not on a public level. So first off and foremost, like adding to this, that I'd like to say on the individual aspect, through meditation, through intention of being the best version of ourselves, through self-mastery. As I say, contact is just a byproduct when you're doing self-mastery. Some may already have the contact. But through being the best version of you and actually being practical with that, doing that, not just saying stuff and not following through with it, meaning, let's be spiritual, but yet behind the scenes you're not. It comes down to living from the heart, treating others how you want to be treated, living in this way that the contact, again, is just a byproduct of it, that through that we are already our own ambassadors. And a lot of us actually have deals, we could say, on the spirit realm before incarnating this aspect here. Even though all lives are happening at the same time, I've got to linearize this, that we have got deals ourselves with different councils and different levels of intelligences in different densities on, let's say, missions of why we're here, which a lot of people, star seeds, indigo children, whatever term you want to use it, wanderer, the list goes on. A lot of people that are open to this are here to assist with the uplifting of humanity's consciousness as they step into, we could say, the next ascension cycle, but also for some that are ready to go, let's say, ascension in a different way of the rest. Meaning, ascension is for everyone, but where each person goes individually depends on where they're at on their own individual journey. There is the new earth. There's going to, people say 5D, this D, whatever D you want to go on about. And then there's full-blown ascension for those that are ready at this time to, let's say, go into a light body or the rainbow body or be in the Merkaba state, and then even beyond that as well. So just the simplistic thing is having your own integrity and being the best version of you. That is the criteria to interface with these intelligences, because when you're in the presence of these intelligences, if they're in line with you, meaning they're in line with the awakening, healing of humanity, service to others, and they're highly evolved and loving beings, there are some that aren't. But if you're coming at it from that, that's what you're going to align with. But either way, if it's positive or negative, we want to perceive it in that way. When you're interfacing with these beings, even in my own physical and non-physical contacts, meaning astral, out-of-body experiences as well as the physical, when you're in the presence of these beings, they can read you like a book. They know if you are thinking about it or you bring things up, even if they want to scan through you, they know the things that you didn't do that you wish you should have done, whether they're good or bad. They know the good deeds that you've done. They know the bad things that you've done. They know your intention. And the question is, are you ready, not just you, but everyone watching, when you interface with intelligences like that, are you okay with that? Because the loving beings have nothing but compassion and love. They know that not everyone's perfect. They're not perfect either. Even the angelics have still got warring, situations going on. But the negative will use that to, let's say, manipulate you, to bring you into a lower frequency. So this is why self-mastery is first and foremost to me, along with clearings and being sovereign beings in our own right, not just as earthlings, but spiritually. These are the things that I think, need to be considered and thought about. Because again, when you're interfacing with that, nothing's, off the table. Everything's known depending, again, on the level of consciousness of the intelligence you're interfacing with. So I know that's a bit of a mixed bag of what I just said. I hope that's digestible and is applicable to what you asked.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Peter. And there's so many aspects around already why I phrased it, comprehension. And let's get to the second question. And I want to start, before I get into the question, with a kind of disclaimer. The disclaimer is around one word in here. It's around portal. And I thought around that, and I want to say I also wrote something down in the past couple of days, and sometimes I only can highlight that to everyone. As I recorded that in the past, that I wrote something down to some extent consciously, to some extent not. In other words, sometimes you get the message later around that, and sometimes, for whatever reason, one has to believe in what he or she is doing, for whatever reason. And it does not come just by itself that one does what he or she does. So in any case, with that disclaimer, I'm putting out the question, Peter. The question is how to open/expand more a human portal for galactic trade.
Layered question, interesting question, and I'll explain the answer the way that I can from my contacts, my understanding at this time. So I don't have all the answers. I'm forever still getting stuff as I interface. Now there is, I was alluding to it with the first question, there is, we could say the Cabal, there are also factions that are black beyond black of not being known that are interfacing as we speak and have for many years with extraterrestrials and in some cases, but very smallly, with interdimensional, transdimensional intelligences. There is trade that's been going on for this time as well. We are seen as very smart, intelligent beings in some areas, and there is not so good trade going on, and we could say some productive trade that's going on. The problem is that it's not known about to us, meaning the public. The public masses. With that said, if we try to do trade and open up portals in a way of trading, there are neutrino detectors, there are detectors for exotic propulsion and weaponry technologies that are pretty much the propulsion technology, the energy systems can be used and applied for weaponry as well. We have tech all around the planet, circling the planet as well as within it, that can detect when specific crafts and beings are entering or here. Now, again, this comes down to, and I say this all the time, depending on your level of consciousness will depend on what you're operating at and what level you're operating at with what you've got access to technology-wise. The flip side of this is that your being, is the most advanced portal. Now, when we talk about portals, you've got synthetic devices, made devices, which are Stargates, very similar to Stargate SG-1, things of that nature. There are also natural portals that are on planetary bodies, and some of these will link from, let's say, one section of the planet to another. Sometimes one might even go off world to another section. Our star is a portal, meaning all stars connect and they're portals. And then on top of that, there is teleportation devices as well, which you could say are portals, but they're not, let's say, able to, traverse space and time across the full galaxy, depending on the level of consciousness. But you attaining the Merkaba and then the rainbow body, you can make everything I've just mentioned look like child's play. So when you've got that inner technology, which we've all got, which to me, this is the most advanced mechanism on the planet, and if not throughout the universe, that we don't fully understand yet on a transdimensional nature. But with the third eye, you can traverse space and time and interface. You can remote view and interface with other intelligences. So it is a tricky situation that until disclosure is done on a public level, the trade will not be known about. Again, even if you tried to do this privately, it would be just a matter of time before those levels of the black operations would be knocking on your door and not just stopping it, but pretty much probably drag you away and find out exactly what's going on, who you're working with, and how are you capable of doing this. And that is a pretty hairy situation to find yourself in. I've had similar things already, and it's not even at that level, meaning, being able to have a Stargate here and that. Though stone circles, like I've got here at Jaya, they're a form of portal to where the beings are working with, we could say the circle itself is open up through intention as a portal. So, again, I know that I've gone sort of all over the place here because everything's connected, but I hope, again, that this is, been applicable to what you've asked.
Absolutely. Thank you, Peter. And then the third question, and it's related to that, but in a broader sense, I would say. But however we look at that, in any case, the question is, some say humanity would not be ready for cooperation. Some say it is necessary to rise to the occasion. What do you think?
I think if we look at ourselves with our own personal relationships, whether it's with a partner or family or friends, or with people we don't know, there's got to be cooperation and compromise. Now, compromising one's integrity is a very hairy line. You hear the old saying that, compromising a few's the good for the many. Meaning if a few lives are lost in war, it's for the good of, the country or the state or this and that, what have you. I think that's a very personal thing for each person because they've got to live with decisions that they make. However, and with that said, we need to rise to the occasion within ourselves by being the best version of ourselves to meet ourselves first halfway before we do it off-world. And again, how this comes into play, like Shi-Ji, one of the beings from the Pleiades that I interface with, it's not known exactly how this can unfold because the disclosure process is already in play, but it depends on what level if you're at. If it's individual already, a lot of people have got already, disclosure is not even needed, but on a collective level, it's different. And then some people need that actually within the collective, their own individual disclosure. So just like anything, we need to compromise and get along. Like everything can't be like my way or the highway type of a scenario. But it is a situation as well that I have seen with the way that people react to some of the experiences that they've had around me and people that I know, that on a very small scale, mind you, that I know of people that it's really affected their mental health because what they think they knew isn't what they knew at all, really, on one scale when it comes to, aliens or interdimensional beings. The whole paradigm has been shifted. I think we can go through that. I think us going through something like that as a collective can support each other. But again, you've got also the other aspect of a lot of questions. More questions being brought up than answers being answered. And as they're being answered, the questions, there's more questions coming up. So you've got a catch-22 convoluted situation here. Then you've got a process with this, with the ascension, with us being in a highly energized place in space, that as we're getting our own natural and dormant abilities turning on, what I believe is that a lot of what's unknown is just going to be known, and it's not even there's not even a need for it to be explained, because the veils are very thin now, and we've seen a lot of stuff being brought to the surface and seen, not just in 2024, but we're going to continue to see that, and we have for quite some years. But it's like a knowingness comes upon you, a revelation comes upon you of knowing that we're not alone, the implications of not being alone and getting on with it. Very similar in a very small way to being between existences. We could say in the spirit form, if you leave the body here through passing or what have you, transitioning, that there is a knowingness that, in that state, I believe you know pretty much all that there is to know. We go out and experience within Source to glean knowledge and experience more. So there's this veil that's pulled to where it's just a knowingness comes upon us of the greater family out there. But it's not for everyone. there is, again, a raise in frequency. We're all going to go through it, at least in a very minimal aspect of ascension, to where disclosure happens, new technologies happen, spirituality and consciousness are on the forefront for the civilization. But there'll be some people that are going to complete different levels. And it's because of their level that they've done the inner work and where they're at, they match that to where they've got access to. Just like technologies, you only will gain access to that which you've risen to the occasion to access. So this is why some of these civilizations have got stuff that would totally wipe out, people would say, a country, the stuff that they've got could wipe out half of this solar system, if not the entire thing, and other solar systems. But because of their level of consciousness, they wouldn't do that. There's also things that I could go on about with not just DNA, but also one's light blueprint that is needed specifically for that being to activate these types of devices for them to even be used on a different level. That's another conversation totally. So, again, I just hope this has been digestible, but yet also answered your question.
Absolutely. I say that again, that word, and still I add that what I also learned over time, in the sense we can say abilities are maybe given to us and could be taken. And let's leave it like that. So my question then still is, Peter, I hope we can, or the question is, can we do an interview again?
Yes, we can definitely do this. And I'll just add to what you were just alluding to then. I think our abilities come online when we've reached a certain level. There are certain gifts, we could say, in the odd case that can be given and turned on for people. But just like myself, there's people that may go to travel abroad, overseas or what have you, and they get all their chakras turned on and they can't deal with it because all their psychic senses are turning on and they've never been spiritual or into this. And they thought, I'll just give it a go. And then they come and see me and I've got to balance them out to how they can operate as they've opened with it. So I think all these abilities from telekinesis, levitation, manifesting through thought, bilocating, all these different things that we could go on about, I think we've all got a natural right and can achieve these abilities, but it depends on our level of consciousness. And sometimes to assist us, depending on what our purpose is in the incarnation, depends on sometimes we might get let's say a hand up, not a hand out, a hand up. But if you turn from being of service to others and being positive and productive with these abilities, there's, it's going to come and bite you in the backside. I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, no, we can definitely do more of this for sure, Henning.
Wow, excellent. And then, let me ask, if you would say, if people are interested, and of course it's just having this question, between us here now, where you would say, hey, look maybe into this book or look into that video, or that in general, you would say, hey, if people are interested again, they better reach out, they contact, they get into that website. What is the best way you would highlight at this moment?
At this moment, it really depends on where people are at on their own individual journey. I can only come at things from my perspective, and that's from experience. So because of that, it's not a selling point or anything, but the book of Shi-Ji 1, 2, 3, and 4 that I've written with Shi-Ji, that's best-selling material. Now, it's not to big note it in that way, but so many people contact me on a regular basis of how this takes you almost from A to Z in so many different levels that you could be totally new to all this. And by the time you get to the fourth book, very short books, you could probably read one a day easy. By the end of it, it's almost like a 101 on all this. There's a lot of videos for free on YouTube that I've done specifically with slideshow presentations on Ascension, the Rainbow Body, the Merkaba, different things that apply to self-mastery and what have you, that there is, yes, some things like the books that you may have to pay for. There's an online course, but there's a lot of free material and clearing techniques. If you go to petermaxwellslattery.com, esetaustralia.org, or Jaya Sanctuary, which is where I'm at now, JAYA sanctuary.com, the links are all there for the clearings, which are free. I even once a week on a Saturday, for those that can't afford to come to me in appointments, I do free clearings in a group setting here by myself for the people that fill out that form. So if you feel you need assistance with clearing yourself from negative influences, clearing around abundance, health, happiness, things like that, you can go there and go to the clearing request page. And every Saturday morning, I'm actually here doing that for all the people that fill out that page there as well. So there's a lot of material at those websites that will lead you to social media pages as well.
Oh, thank you again, Peter. Thank you so much. And again, looking forward to speaking with you again. Again, it's a special day, I feel. And of course, we spoke about that before for you personally.
Yeah, no, it was my mum's birthday today. I just drove 40 minutes and took her out for lunch on the river. So, yeah, no, it was a special day. Yeah.
So, again, thank you so much. All the best to you. And again, as I said before, all the best for all.
All the best to you as well, and keep doing what you're doing and assisting humanity. And thank you for taking the time to do this. I've enjoyed it.